Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Claims Never Sleep. I'm joined by my co-host Jen. Hey Jen, how's it going?
It's going well. I'm very excited about this episode. We are bringing on a fellow Peloton law mom and of course her
Yes.
colleague. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm like excited about it because really I'm excited for you because I think you had mentioned Kathleen like a year ago and you're like, I really want to bring her on the podcast. So I'm glad it kind of finally came to fruition, and her and Lizzie are awesome. So let me backtrack. Today we're joined by Kathleen, DeAndrea, and Lizzie Thoman. And Kathleen, you had met virtually on the Peloton Law Mom group on Facebook back in COVID. And you guys
Yes.
were part of like an accountability group, right?
Yes. And then it turns out she was also in claims. And so we kind of reconnected that way because it's always nice to find another claims professional in the wild. And I have been wanting to get her on the podcast for quite some time.
Yes, and like what, as if Peloton needs another plug, but isn't this what they're all about, is creating community?
Mhm.
And they really just created a full circle community. But I'm excited to have them both. And, you know, we talk a lot, you're going to see, we talk a lot about claims, but we also get into like a social media and social media for kids discussion, which is very relevant at this very moment. This week it's made some big news. So I think it's all very timely. So with that, let's bring him in.
This is the Claims Never Sleep podcast, presented by Cruiser Mitchell, with your host, Megan Henry.
Good morning, Kathleen and Lizzie. Welcome to Claims Never Sleep. I'm so happy to have you and meet you finally. I've heard a lot about you. How are you guys today?
I'm good. Good morning, and we're excited to be here. Kathleen here, obviously with the tag. I never met either of you kind of in person, so this is exciting for me.
Same. Very excited. Just echoing Kathleen's sentiments. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, well, I'm so happy to chat with you. And I, for anyone who listens to our podcast, they know. And if you guys have tuned in, I don't fault you if you have not yet tuned in yet, but I'm sure you will after. One of the first things we always dig into here is how people got into the claims industry, because what we've found during talking to as many people as Jen and I talk to is it is the abnormality for someone to be in claims because like they intended to go there. Usually it's just happened chance. They didn't know what else to do. It's very rarely they were like, I want to go into claims. I want to go in insurance. So I'm curious what your paths were. And I'll start with you, Lizzie, first. How did you get into the industry?
Yeah, definitely was not planned at all. Didn't really know that it was like a possible career path, to be perfectly honest. So I graduated law school in May of 15 and was born and raised in Cincinnati. That's where I went to law school, was certain that I would like stay there forever. And I had a friend who was a year ahead of me, but I was very close with her. She took a job at Fidelity National Financial. And she reached out to me like around the time I was graduating and said, hey, we're interviewing. Are you interested? The job was in Omaha, Nebraska. So let me tell you, like, I was certainly not interested, but I was interviewing because it was like the time to be doing that. So I'm like studying for the bar, right? And interviewed and like got an offer to come out and visit. And I don't know, there was just something about it. It clicked. I had other job offers, but I think I was just excited for something different. And it was a lot of young people working there at the time. Yeah, that's kind of how I ended up. Omaha, Nebraska. Stole my heart for like 6 months.
So you moved to Omaha.
Wait, so
from Cincinnati.
I did. I did. Isn't that wild? And I moved in November.
Yes.
I moved in November. And my manager, so Fidelity is headquartered in Jacksonville, Florida. So my manager that I started under at the time was already slated to move kind of in the early springtime. And so he asked me like when he was leaving, like, hey, would you be interested in moving to Jacksonville? And I was like, I literally just moved here, but maybe. So I was only in Omaha from like November to April. which honestly was like the perfect amount of time. Like, I feel like I got to do really
would
fun
say
stuff
so.
there, lots of blizzards, and then off to Jacksonville I went.
Yeah, I mean, you survived a Nebraskan winter, so there.
I did. I'm like, wow. But it was super fun. Like, it was a lot of people that were kind of new grads. And again, Omaha, like, really small town feel, but like had some fun breweries and like good stuff to do. So yeah, it was a good time. I wouldn't probably ever like set up roots there, but I had a good time while I was there.
So when you were nearing the end of law school and you were going through that interview process, and you had this opportunity to go in-house, so were you leaning personally, obviously you probably were leaning more towards going in-house versus practicing?
No, I was interviewing just kind of across the board, just like that panic, like towards the end of 3L year, like, oh my God, I got to take the bar. I signed up to run a marathon. Like, I did a lot of dumb shit. I got a puppy. Like, it was a wild time.
Hey, I think you and I lived parallel lives. I also got a puppy around that time, and I ran a marathon.
This is a good idea. This is a good idea. Like, what? So no, I was kind of just interviewing everywhere. And I think what really stuck out to me, so Fidelity handles title insurance, and the friend of mine who recommended, me to interview, she said it's really interesting because you get to hit so many different areas of the law. And at the time I was like, okay, whatever. Like, you just want me to come work there. You get a bonus for like referring somebody.
Right.
But it was super true. Like, we had a lot of fraud on like title insurance broker sides. We had a crazy insured, because it was owner and lender insurance. We had a crazy insured who was like mailing her teeth. She was like, test their DNA. She sent us a bill to like exhume a grandfather's body for like a chain of title. I mean, it was wild. It was really wild. So we had like foreclosures. It was crazy. It was the weirdest job I've probably ever had to this day, but I learned a ton.
Wow.
Yeah.
And like, what great stories you probably had with your colleagues being like, this lady today, she wants to dig up the dead.
She sent us the bill. She did it. We were like, we will, sending coverage. Just like, this is not covered. We will not pay to exhume this body. And she did it and then sent us the bill. I'm like, ma'am, we are still not paying. Like, it was wild. And the teeth, it was it was horrible. Like, who mails teeth?
So
go ahead.
When you moved to Jacksonville, what did you do? And so like you went to Omaha by yourself, and now you go to Jacksonville, just you and your supervisor. And what did you do there?
So I had some of my colleagues that I had met there. It was a time of transition, right? I mean, corporate, kind of the same changing of the guard that happens every so often. So I think there was a lot of shifting kind of in the home office in Jacksonville. So there were a few other people that I worked with that also were moving. So I had, I don't want to say the same job. I had like a different region that I was working in, and kind of more complex claims than I was handling in Omaha. But yeah, I just like picked up and moved again.
Wow. Well, that's impressive.
Yeah.
But also great experiences and things that you will never forget.
Yeah. Also, Jacksonville was not a city that I was like, also like Jacksonville, Omaha, like were not cities I was ever intending to land in. So
yeah, Jacksonville is usually not high on many people's lists. There's not a lot going on there. It is by the ocean at least, but
Lizzie, didn't you
super fun?
Didn't you teach a bar method too, or something, or Pure Bar? Or something?
Pure Bar. I taught at Pure Bar. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I started in Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. Again, I was just like living truly my best life. I was like going on dates. I was having so much fun. I still had the puppy. I had a cat. Like, I was thriving, and I was teaching Pure Bar. I was fit, going to the beach. Like, I was living. It was great.
I would have been surprised if you said you were teaching Pure Bar in Nebraska. I'd be like, that came there fast.
That's where
Jacksonville makes a little more sense.
Though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's where I started taking it. Mm-hmm.
Right,
and I really fell in love with it. Yeah. There's not much else going on, so it was very cold.
I did love a bar. I did love a Pure Bar class. I
Yeah.
don't do it anymore though.
Me neither.
That was around the time I was doing it, maybe a little bit earlier, around the year of my
Requires
wedding,
leaving the
like
house.
a little bit like 2012, 2013. I was doing a lot of those bar method or pure bars.
I did it when I was pregnant because that seemed like a pregnancy thing to do until you couldn't bend.
Yeah, it's very like slow. Yeah.
Well, this is going to be shocking, but it never came to Scranton.
Not even today.
No, we don't have any. No, we don't have any of that. We're just not a big enough market. So
yeah,
sadly, I never got into bar. It's all right though.
They do have it on Peloton though. They have they've got those. You don't really have a bar, but you can use like a chair or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I do actually have a bar in my basement. I have a ballerina in my house, so she has a bar to practice point. So there we go. I can, 2026, only a decade behind the times. I can pick up my bar practice.
Exactly.
Yep.
Everyone goes through it at some point, so it's your turn.
Not yet.
Time. Yeah.
So, Kathleen, what about you? What was your journey into claims?
Yeah, so mine's a little bit different. Where when I graduated law school, I was in California, and I started practicing law. First started with a criminal defense firm, which was interesting. A private criminal defense firm is pretty wild.
Yeah, that's a good way to cut your teeth.
Yeah, I mean, this place was really wild because it was kind of around the time where marijuana was legal in California, but it was like you needed to get a prescription, so who's prescribing, but it wasn't legal federally. It's just all that tension. So there was a lot of that, like how much marijuana did the person have on them? What was the reason for their prescription? Like that was all like really big back then. And I bring that up because the law firm's phone number was 1-800-420-LAWS. And so, I mean, this is just a sign of the times. Being in California, West Hollywood, that's the job I got.
I have a question, not to interrupt. So, when you were graduating, when you were approaching the time of graduating, was criminal law was that what you really wanted to do, or was it like this is the job that I had the opportunity to do? Because and that's why you started there.
Yeah, so honestly, I really, really wanted to get into constitutional law has always been a thing for me. If I could have a major, if I picked a major that was more specific in college, it was First Amendment, that kind of stuff. So I always did want to go that direction, or at least I thought I did. And so the public defender in Los Angeles at the time there was a hiring freeze, and even the DA's office, if you went the other direction, they would hire 1 or 2 people a year. It was a really, really intense interview process, very specific questions. And I think I interviewed 2 or 3 times and I failed each time. I never got it.
I mean, that's a big high profile job though. It's no
But so this was an end, and so it was really wild because the person I worked for was a real advocate, obviously with that kind of phone number, real advocate for kind of the legalization and that, which I was more, nothing wrong with that, but I was more just trying to get experience in criminal, right? And so, but it was super interesting, Lizzie, a lot of young people working there. It was a lot. You can just imagine. It was a lot of fun, but it was not really a lifetime kind of job. So then I moved on. And I for a little bit did dependency law with the LA County. I would defend parents who had lost their children in terms of in not custody, but from the county. So dependency law, and then took a year off. Came back to LA after that year off. I was in Chicago, passed the bar there, and then came back and got into workers' comp. But that was sort of when I first understood kind of insurance, right? It was workers' comp. Quit, and then moved on to medical malpractice. So I did a lot of moving on, medical malpractice for 5 years. But I guess the point of the moving on is I tried a lot of different kinds of law and just was not enjoying being a lawyer. I mean, that's just what it came down to. And so with the medical malpractice, you really got to know the adjusters and the insurance world. And so that was kind of the direction I wanted to go into and started just applying. And I found a job in Georgia. I was living in Los Angeles, had just gotten married. found a job in Georgia and went for it. And we've been here ever since. Not the same job, but it moved us out here. So claims also moved my family. So,
and like when you had the opportunity to move to Georgia from California, was your husband like, all right, cool? Like,
so yeah, in some ways he's a lot like me, where it's just like, all right, let's try it. Like he had never even been to Atlanta. The first time he was here was when he drove cross country. And so he's like that. It was hard because he had gotten some success. He was like coach of the year he's a lacrosse coach and a football coach, but he had coach of the year for Southern California his first year. And then I'm like, and at the banquet, he's like, and by the way, I'm moving, so it was tough, but it was,
it's like a Coach Taylor moment.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but we had talked about it. We both loved California, but we decided, and Lizzie moved from California in the last couple of years, but we both decided you guys know it's expensive there, and have kids and stuff. We decided that was the direction we want to go into, and I didn't want to be a lawyer anymore. So it was like, all right, let's just do like a clean break of everything and start somewhere else with a new job. He had to get a new job in a new place. So
is he coaching still?
He is. He's coaching. We're in lacrosse season right now. So coaches football and lacrosse here. So yeah, it worked out.
So since you had such a wide variety of practicing experience, when you went into claims, what kind of claims did you start handling?
So I started with a medical malpractice because that was the easy transition. And then I feel like everything's kind of not a strange story, but a crazy story. I was pregnant, and the job that we had, I worked for Sedgwick, and they had a dedicated account hospital system. That hospital system got bought out, and all claims are coming in-house. And so I was super duper pregnant, thinking, I had the offer to go to Tennessee, which is where it was, and go to the in-house route with that company. But I was just like, we just moved here, very pregnant. What am I going to do? Going to be out of a job. So then I interviewed for my next position, which is a lot more, it's a legacy, which we're in now too. We can go into that, but legacy claims. I interviewed for that, got the job when I was 8 months pregnant. And that was actually the job where I met Lizzie. And that was 2014. So did get that job 8 months pregnant, which is, in itself, it's a whole
Shocking.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Yeah.
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 Like, oh, let me dig in, but I'm going to be gone for how long were you out for?
I was out for 4 weeks.
4 weeks?
What? 4 weeks. So,
I'm so sorry.
No, I know. It's just, it's not about the company. It was just about timing, right? I hadn't been there long enough. They actually worked with me. I could use PTO that I didn't really have yet. They let me use stuff. So they worked with me the way they could, but it was, it was 2014. A lot of companies didn't have to this day, still don't have the necessarily 12 weeks paid. While I was at that company, they did. Lizzie had a baby there. And so,
Two, right?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, Louis was there too. Yeah.
So
I had to think about that. I'm like, hold on, when was he born? Wait a second.
So unfortunately, I had my 2 before that. But again, they worked with me where they could. It was not, I'm not saying anything bad about them. It was just, that was the way they were at that point. But they do now have the maternity leave. So
yeah, and it's hard. You came in a not difficult circumstance, but a unique circumstance that you're like, but they probably really needed you. But it's also like, oh yeah, you're bringing someone in this role, and now it's hard for you to be gone for that long.
Yeah, I was lucky. Let's be honest, that nobody should ever go through having a baby and being back in 4 weeks. I think we can all agree with that for their own, even if everything's perfect, just like candidly, everything was perfect. I had no complications, nothing. But are we all in a good mental state? Let's be, we're exhausted, all the things, and it is what it is. It was 11 years ago now, right? Or almost 12. And but it wasn't ideal, but it worked out. And, it was great. They hired me super pregnant, which not a lot of companies would do. So
no, they would not. So that's where you two met?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So we were there. I was there at that company from 14 to 2023. And Lizzie and I she was there a little bit before we started working together, but we started working on the same team at the end of 2020. Yeah. And it was funny. We worked there obviously remotely because it was 2020. We both left. She went to another company, and now she's with and I went to a different one. She's now with me over this other one. The first time we met in person was on a business trip to London. So we worked together for
like my favorite
years.
thing ever.
Yeah, worked together for 4 full years, super close. Went to and met for the first time in London on a business trip.
Well, that's not a bad business trip to have to go on.
No, it's not. It was so the company we currently work at is headquartered in London. Mm-hmm. So there was a reason for it, but it's crazy that it took that long for us to meet and for it to be in
a foreign country. Yeah.
And you mentioned before that Lizzie had been in Georgia at one point, or no, in California.
California.
For you.
Yeah.
So
California.
So she was in California. I was in California. I'm sure there was some overlap there. But then now she lives in Chicago, where I'm from. So we do have
we're just really keeping things interesting.
Yes, yeah. Destined to meet at some point.
Yes.
Yeah.
And both of us move a lot. Lizzie for different reasons, but I've always been someone that's kind of moved a lot. I've been in Georgia now 12 years, but before that, been a little bit more.
Are you itching for another move?
I do get there because we are at 6 years in this house. Actually, Valentine's Day was 6 years, and I've never stayed in anything that long. So I'm just kind of like, But then the interest rates are, what they are. So.
Yeah, that's true.
I stay. It's keeping me here.
So Lizzie, what is it that propelled all of your moves?
So when I was in Jacksonville, I met my husband, who happens to be in the Navy, which is not convenient. And I'm a homebody, guys. Like I said, I was Cincinnati for life. And I was not that flexible. I was excited. I did my Omaha thing. I did Jacksonville and I was living, but I was eventually I'll go back to Cincinnati. And that's where I'll live. And then I met John. So then we moved to San Diego. We were there for 5 years. And then we've been here in Chicago for 2.5, I think. So I left Fidelity when I left Jacksonville, and that's how I ended up working where Kathleen worked. Our office had a satellite office in San Diego. And then when we went remote, they closed that down, which was awesome. So, because then I could move and stay, working remotely as we traverse about the country.
Yeah. And Lizzie and I have both been fully remote since 2020. Even before that
brief stint in the office at my in between company, when we moved to Chicago, I was at CNA. They are headquartered here. So I guess in San Diego, I went into the office too with them. They had a once a week in office, but other than that, that feels like nothing compared to when we were doing every single day, which is crazy.
Yeah. But Megan and I both, we also,
I know, I can't even imagine it now. I was
yeah, I was going to say the same thing. We're Megan and I are on the same page today.
Yeah.
Most law firms aren't that flexible, though, right? I mean, you guys are lucky. It seems like.
Well, we get to decide.
Okay. I mean,
it's our. No, but even pre-COVID, my old office, I was remote 4 days a week, just because. Unless I had to be in for something, I was more efficient at home, and I just felt like commuting the 40 minutes into Philly was just lost time, And I'm I don't unless I need to be there for some reason, I would try to go in once a week, but I would use those days. I'd get nothing done because it would be my social days. I'd plan lunches, and you would see everybody, and it was great for that reason. But it wasn't a productive day. It was a people day.
And I just feel like kids make it so different too. Like Kathleen and I have talked about this a lot. So like my husband's a physician. So his clinic opens at 6:45 in the Navy. They do stuff so early. Like that's their first patient is like 6:45. And it's like, there is no way that I could like get my 2 older kids ready into school, get the nanny here with the baby, do like all of that jazz and like make it to an office in the city. Like there's no way that could possibly happen.
No, I mean, you would have to drop everyone off at a daycare. People do make it work, but it's just like, it would be a totally different lifestyle, and so
that's what I should say. Yeah. There's no way for me. Cause I like,
right.
I'm sure I know that everybody likes their kids, but for me, I was like, I don't want to sacrifice also having time with them to like schlep into an office where I don't really need to be. So, yeah.
I'm in the same boat as you. My husband is also a physician, and he starts surgeries at 7 a.m. Like he was gone by 6:15 this morning. Like it's on me to get all 3 of the kids to school, and they're at different schools now. And so you're driving all around, and my older 2 get out of school at 2:10. But like, so it's just, it's crazy. And all the activities and the delays and the snow days and we don't have school today because we don't feel like it. It's just like without having the year, like I don't know what I would do. And that's actually why I left Claims, is the company that I was working for. I had worked remotely for years because the company was in Connecticut. I was here in Pennsylvania. They let me keep my job when I moved, which was awesome. But then they were bought out by another company. And that company had an office 50 minutes from my house. And they're like, it's 50 minutes. I was like, I can't drive 50 minutes each way to work. Like, I don't have 2 extra minutes a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. So my situation is a little different where the mornings aren't as bad. It's the evenings, because my husband's a coach. So that's so he teaches during the day, but then all the stuff's at night. He gets home at sometimes 11 o'clock at night, right? If there's a game. So it's just, it was those activities. And Atlanta has terrible traffic, just like probably everyone else's cities. And I wouldn't get home till like 6:30 or 7. And like you said, kids activities and stuff. I guess it's considered maybe a little bit, it's great that your kids can do activities. Not everyone's can, but I mean, for me, the activities are almost more important than school. Just because, just having those opportunities to do some other things and just be more well-rounded. So getting them there, and you can get somebody else to drive your kids around. Absolutely. But I just would rather it be me and manage that time.
Yeah. Like today, my younger one has practice at 4 and it's 30 minutes away. And she gets out of school at 3:25. So I have to pick her up at school, and she will get changed in the front seat of the car. And so we drive to practice. And then she's practiced for 2 hours. So I just bring everything there. And I just like, okay, office 2.0 down here. At least there's that flexibility.
The snacks, and you got to bring the snacks always. So many snacks.
Yeah. And we're talking about extracurriculars. I have a daughter who she does do therapy and has doctor's appointments. And so that's something that takes a lot of time, and you need to, that's a whole nother thing to manage. So it just, that being at home and be able to deal with that is clutch, that's kind of how I feel about it. And so we're lucky that we can do that. So.
Yeah. You mentioned hiring somebody to drive your kids. I actually have a babysitter who comes because I have 3 kids and I can't be in 3 places at once. So it's kind of like, and I'm sure Lizzie, you can relate. Like my husband doesn't get home until sometimes 8 o'clock at night. Like I can't rely on him. Even the nights when he's like, oh, I'll be home early. And no, he's not home early. Somebody came in with an emergency and now he's home at 10 o'clock. So it's I don't know. I feel like the struggle is real, and we are very fortunate to be able to have these kind of flexible schedules in order to attempt to do more.
Yeah, we have Paulette, who is the nanny, because we have a baby who's like 6 months old, but she also picks up my other kids from school, and literally, you guys, it makes me tear up. I'm going to tear up now, but the Olympian, who is it, Elena Myers Taylor, right? That's her full name. When she like thanked her nanny, I was like blubbering. I'm like, we wouldn't be able to do whatever. It's like so important to have that help. Like not living by family, not having other people around, it's like, whoa, like,
Right.
So
it's funny.
Kathleen knows I'm a crier. I'm like a birthday card. I'm crying, anything, but like the thanking the nannies. I'm just like, we would not be able to do any of these things without her.
No, and it's funny you say that. I actually text my babysitter. She's been with us about 2 years. Yesterday, and I was like, I'm giving you an hourly raise, and she's like, you don't have to do that. And I was like, but I do, because I want you to know how important you are to me and my family.
Yeah.
Without you, this
Right.
wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because my younger one, who's 11, recently said to me something. She's like, "You're always working," and I'm like, "Well, not really. It's just that I'm home, and you come home from school,
Right.
and it's still a work day."
Right. Exactly.
So you just see me do this, but like if I were in an office, I just wouldn't be here. Like,
So I struggle with
just
that
don't
too,
understand
because
that part too.
yeah, I struggle with that too. So my kids are 10 and 11, but when COVID hit, they were 4 and 5, right? And so really, they don't remember me not working from home.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand how 6 years down the line, they're still coming home from school, like screaming right outside my office and talking to me. You know, that is something I don't understand, that they don't understand, like, because they don't remember a time when I wasn't doing this. So I don't know. I don't know if you guys have that same struggle, but that is, I mean, even yesterday, Lizzie heard me. I was just like, oh, I'm so annoyed because my son's friends are knocking on the door again. And I'm like, I've told him to not have them knock. Like, he's got one of those watches. Text them on your watch. Like, get out of here. Like, do not be knocking on my door. And my dog is barking right outside my office.
Mm-hmm.
So,
She was like chucking flip flops.
I wasn't hitting anyone with the flip flop. I was trying to distract the dog. I was trying to distract the dog to like stop the barking chaos, right? So I was like throwing things during a meeting. I was just like, I just can't anymore.
Yeah, or you do like the off screen, like with your hand. You're like.
My friend bought me this for Christmas. And it lights up. You can't. It's not plugged in right now, but it says on a call. So you try to put that on now. It's just like on a call.
That's amazing.
I can't believe I have to have this, but it actually works.
Yeah, like I should have one of those like on air.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Actually, that's so cute.
So, and also, you know, I have ear pods, and I do use the ear pods, so the kids never know if I'm on a call because my hair's long, it's covering it, whatever. But I'm also like, assume I'm on a call. Let's start with I'm on a call, and then go from there. You're old enough to figure this out. So.
And even if you're not, you could be thinking.
Right. True.
Not want to be interrupted.
I don't need to tell you which snack you can have. You're old enough now, so you can figure that out. There's tons of bags of snacks. Take one. So
yes, my 13-year-old the other day came home from school, and I was on a Zoom meeting, and she's yelling, "What do you want, Mom? What do you want?" And I was like, "What are you doing?" And she comes running in here, and she looked, and she's like, "I thought you were talking to me." I was like, "You were all the way downstairs in the kitchen. Like, why would I be
never talking to you? It's
No.
not about you right now. Like right now is not you time. This is not for you. No. No.
And if my husband, because since he's a teacher, if he's home during some kind of break, you know, because they get a lot of breaks, the kids and which they deserve, right? And the teachers, but they're always on breaks. I can't even work when the people are in the house. I think I need like an annex office of some sort because it is
She shed in the backyard.
I do. I need a she shed. You're right. I need something because it just with people here, it does make such a difference. So,
well, I do have to mention since we're on here, the reason why I met Kathleen, I think needs to be addressed. So, during COVID, like the rest of us, we turned to online, and we all turned to a group on Facebook called Peloton Law Moms, which sounds absolutely absurd and ridiculous. Megan is also in the group. When I was offered this job, I looked her up. I was like, "Oh, she's a Peloton Law Mom. This will be great." Well,
it's gonna be good.
I know it's gonna work out.
And Lizzie, I'm not sure why you're not. Like, this seems a little bit questionable to me.
You know, I'm kind of late to everything. Like hardcore on the floor, you told me about. You're like, why? It's been a thing for like 2 years. I was like, what? Like, I just am always a little behind the times. Okay. But I'm on it. Like It's like my tag. I have it in my tag on Peloton, but I'm just
Mine
like not in
too.
the group. I just don't, I don't know why.
I'm forcing it after this then.
I'm going to join it right now.
Sorry. Anyway, Jen, sorry to interrupt.
I'll be honest, I'm in the group, but I don't pay attention to it. Like I probably did at the time, but now I don't really go on Facebook very much, so I don't really keep up on that. But I do have the tag next to my name, the hashtag. Also, because I don't know how to change
it is where we found like Viore and other parts of our wardrobe. But yes, back in the day.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Meghan can't deny that she was involved in 2020 because she has the Viore joggers. So we know she was active on Peloton Mama.
Yes. Yeah, then I was looking, but now not so much. But then I probably didn't get them for like 2 more years because I'm like Lizzie behind the time.
We're just behind.
These are
I'm always a little behind. But I was living in San Diego, and Viore, was started there. So I was in on Viore only because it was like everywhere, like shops. So that one was simply luck of location. That I was not trendy. It was just like right there.
Yes, and so Kathleen and I were put in the same accountability group. They like anybody who wanted to was like put into these little groups of like 4 and 5 people, and we would text on Messenger and make sure that everyone was doing their workouts during COVID, and just to like have people to actually talk to.
Yeah, no, it was a great idea. I think I had a hard time because I think we had people in different time zones, and just everyone had different schedules. So we'd be like, okay, we're going to do this workout. But everyone's doing it at different, I think it would have worked much better if we did it at the same time. Like, we're going to do it this time, this day, that kind of thing. But it was a good idea. I don't feel like I was a very good partner in that group, though. I don't know. I just, I tried.
On further reflection, I was not a good partner.
I don't think so. I don't think I was a good partner.
Well, what was kind of cool too is one of the other girls in the group, her name was Jessica. We realized we didn't live that far from each other. And we vacationed at the same place every summer. So we actually got to meet in person last summer and have drinks and stuff, which was really nice. Nice. And so we got to kind of like turn it into a real life friendship as opposed to every once in a while texting on the phone. So I think that group was really helpful for a lot of people during COVID, just to have kind of an outlet of people who were also trying to work and try to balance their kids, and who kind of relied on their workouts. At least I know I do as my therapy, as my outlet. And so to have like 5,000 like-minded women together in one group it really was a savior.
Yeah, it was. I agree. I mean, again, I've been a member of the group for a while now, and I just remember, and I'm not saying that group, the accountability group, didn't work at all. I was really good at the beginning. I think I just fell off. Like that's my workout journey usually. Anyways, I go really hard in, and then I fall off for a while. Then I go back hard in. So it's pretty typical. But no, I thought it was great. Yeah, I thought it was really great. And didn't we all have treads too? It was something, I think there was more of a connection too. It was like we all had
the Saturday 60, the Just Sim Saturday 60 we were doing together.
Yes. Yeah, that sounds about right. So we had the tread, the original one that was like the beast that got recalled.
Yeah.
I kept mine. I don't know if you did, Jen, but I kept mine even though it got recalled. And so that was what I think this group was. It was good.
Yes. And then you happened to post a job opening on your team. And I was like, wait a minute. Like, we've been talking about Just Sims, but I didn't know that you also handled claims, because I was handling claims then too.
I remember that. Yes. I think that was, I do remember that. And then more recently, then you reached out again because you're doing the podcast. But I remember when you went to claims, I had seen it maybe on LinkedIn or something. And I was just like, oh, that's crazy. Not that it's crazy that people are in claims, but you don't see a lot of lawyers going to claims in that group, but
no, but I mean, and that's kind of funny, kind of like going back to the original question that Meghan asked. It's kind of like, how do people get into claims? Because it's never the intended, like, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to become a claims examiner for my life. It's usually more of an interest or a lifestyle choice. Like, I personally, I love coverage. I think coverage is so fascinating, whereas a lot of people would be like, this is incredibly boring. How do you like this at all? But it's like a puzzle. It's like the logic games of the LSATs all day long, like just kind of like putting things together to see what fits.
And I probably should have figured that out sooner because the grades I got best in law school were contracts. But like I don't feel like you really knew what coverage was. Like in law school, it's just the concepts and everything, but you don't really know what like the path, what it means. Like you didn't know that there was this whole thing of insurance coverage, at least not at my school. So like I said,
I have yet to hear about a school that doesn't teach you that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like
is at least in mine,
anything about it.
No, and so I do think that is something. Because contract interpretation was something I was good at. Like I said, I had a journey of being a lawyer and didn't enjoy any of it. That might have been a different direction had I even known it existed. But now we work on it from a different angle. But still, it's interesting that I don't know how people get into coverage right out of law school. I guess it's once again the pick of the job, the random pick wherever you get to.
I mean, I feel like even like my first job out of law school, I it was the only job to be had because it was litigation and I didn't even know what insurance defense even meant. Like I got there, I was like, I had no clue. And I just got there and I was like, oh, this makes more sense, but right. I still didn't understand the interplay though between like I at that point had no clue what a coverage matter was. I was like, what are these deck action things? Like, like there was this is all things they didn't ever teach you. It's just like learn by fire.
And even when people's experience with insurance, it's not positive. Like if you know about it, it's like I was in a car accident, so I had to like mess with my car insurance. Or if you're looking at your health insurance, I mean, like, right, everyone's getting their preventatives and doing those things. But if you're really looking, like, again, there's probably like an issue. I think it's generally not positive.
I
not work in auto or health.
I agree. So. No, I agree with that. I mean, it's just, I think there's a lot of insurance jobs out there. So I do think people kind of, I hate to say it, fall into it. And even medical malpractice, when I was handling those from the defense side, there were no coverage issues. I mean, very rarely is there a coverage issue for medical malpractice. I mean, there are, like, is something intentional, but if it's claims made, is it inside or outside? But by the time it got to me as the defense attorney, like that wasn't really what we were thinking of. So even then, it's just not something that you naturally will come across.
So let me ask you this: so what? Because I don't know this about either of you. What kind of claims are under your umbrellas, and then what are some of the challenges that you're seeing with them?
Yeah. So sure. Yeah.
You got that one.
Yeah.
Okay. So Kathleen and I have kind of a similar background at our previous companies. We did a lot of sex abuse claims, right?
Okay. That's hard. Yeah.
And so. Yeah, and I think too, for better or for worse, I think we got pretty desensitized to them, which I think was better. I could sleep better at night. And Kathleen was my mentor at our previous company and reminded me a lot, like, we don't live in the same world, like that happened in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. Not saying that abuse doesn't still happen, but I think a lot of the kind of like unrestricted access to kids that some of these people had, I do think that there's some better mechanisms in place to like protect kids than there previously was, right? Like mandatory reporters, like it's definitely a different world. So I think those two things were helpful in kind of some of those personal challenges, like we're having kids out in this world that's like kind of really ugly and scary. But right now, what Kathleen and I are handling, as she mentioned, our company is based in London. So we handle things out of the London and the Lloyd's market, which for us, I think I can speak for both of us, was definitely like a transition. It's a completely different world of insurance. And when we started, I think we really were viewed probably fairly as like kind of like the dumb Americans. Like I think we didn't know, we didn't even know what we didn't know. And so I think that was really challenging, but has been super like fun and rewarding for us to both kind of learn this whole other like piece of the coin in the insurance world. And we
it's where it started. I mean, Lloyd's of London is where it started,
Yeah.
right? And so,
we have a lot of big BI things. We have a lot of construction defect. We still have opioids and kind of the things that everybody has.
Now, did you find it to be like I used to work on a lot of sex abuse type matters, and once I had kids, I found it to be extra difficult to handle. Maybe because I couldn't detach myself that much from it, and it was harder at that point, I think, and I started to move away from it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Do you have that problem?
I mean, it's totally fair. I mean, I have to say that I think that would be that's the normal response. And it should be. I do think, I think it takes, I'm not saying it takes a special skill or by any means, but maybe some, I know I can compartmentalize pretty easily. I mean, going back to what I had, where I started my career, I want to be a criminal defense attorney. I mean, that's some dark stuff, and I've done some dark stuff with that. And so, some of it, I think, is a personality thing, right? Where it's horrendous. I'm not pretending it's horrendous. There's some cases that I can still think about. There's some things that I've heard and seen that, still it's terrible. Everything about it, but I could compartmentalize. I had my children before I started really getting into it. So I had both my kids before I started getting into it. So maybe in some ways that helped. You said you could do it before and not after. So maybe it was just part of that transitional thing. But it's not an easy topic. I've always handled much more on the bodily injury side, even with medical malpractice, that kind of stuff. Whether it's asbestos, anything, we're not talking about any good stories usually.
No, typically not.
I mean, we're just never. I mean, I know abuse hits a different way, but just nothing is really a good story when it comes across our desk. So it is.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a piece of it, but too, when I started, like Kathleen mentioned, it was the end of 2020. So my daughter was born in July of 2020. So let's call it, I don't know, November that I started with Kathleen. She was a baby, right? And so a lot of what we were handling too, it was primarily teenagers. Yeah. Not saying that that's I just think I was like, well, it's not her, because she's a baby. And so it did feel a little bit different. And I also think just kind of at the end of the day, you're like, well, we're trying to do the right thing, right? If there's coverage and if, you can work with counsel to see what's a fair value to pay to make someone feel a little more whole, that felt, a little better.
And I think that's where I struggled the most with it was the valuation.
Oh yeah.
Because I would value things much higher than the partner who I'd be working for, because I think that was my issue with it, because I would attach more feelings to it and he would be able to completely compartmentalize it, and I still would have that emotional toll to it, which you can't really have. But then I would be like, but a jury's gonna have that. That's the other side. A jury's gonna attach emotion to this.
But that's all claims. I mean, and I'm not trying to downplay that, but that is all claims. I mean, that is some of the struggle with this, is putting a dollar value. Again, we're not handling with, it doesn't matter the topic. We're not usually dealing with something really small, and even something that we would consider small is not small to somebody else. So, I think that's part of the difficulty. And I think that's the other thing that I don't think a lot of people realize how much goes into actual claims handling and all of that. I think there's a lot of, at least I think that there's a lot of, it's not a job for super educated or really experienced people, which obviously that's not true, right? We're people right here that but I don't think people realize how hard of a job it can be. There's different levels. There's sometimes when you throw it in a computer because it's a it's a homeowner's claim, you throw it in, and I'm not saying that's not hard either, but there are other kinds of tools in that situation. But no, it's there's a lot that goes into it. And I always called that the intangibles, right? You can have a jury verdict. You can have the fact that the perpetrator was one age, someone else was another age, all those things that can go into factors, but then there's those intangibles that it just, some of that's gut, some of it's just looking at like, what is the jury going to see? And so, yeah, it's hard. And that's why they're hard to sell.
Yeah.
You know, they're not easy.
I think I struggle more with like thinking of like New York labor law. Something you said, Kathleen, made me think of it. I struggle more when it's like, I know this is completely fake. Like this person worked for this company for one day, they cut their finger and they're getting back surgery. Like, and they're asking, and their demand is $12 million. Like that, I think I have such like a fairness issue. Like I'm not happy, but I'm willing to pay where like we have a duty to indemnify someone and that's like the right thing to do. But where I'm like, but this is complete fraud, but I can't prove that. And they're going to give this sob story to a jury. And I think like sometimes I honestly struggle with those more where I'm like, it's not right to give you any of this money, but like my hands are completely tied.
That is so true. I was on the phone with opposing counsel the other day on a case, and it's such a low value case. Like I said to him, I said, okay, so what if I concede everything that you're saying is true? What's the value of this case? And his response to me was, I won a $500,000 jury verdict last week. I was like, well, but that's for you. But what does that have to do?
What's this case? Right. What's this case?
Right. Like, because that's the part of it. It's just like some people, I think, overlook the damages of every case. Even, the fraud cases are the most frustrating. Like when somebody's completely bogus case. But then there's even these cases where like, okay, maybe that did happen. But even if it did, what are your damages? Like, what's it worth?
Right.
And
well, also, if you have a $500,000 verdict last week, then you probably don't need as much money on this case.
Yeah.
Try that next time. See how that works.
Yeah. See what they say to you, Jen.
I think it really just comes down to, like I said, there's a human element of it. That's just like, how do you quantify a human element? And again, not to talk about sex abuse, but how do you quantify what sex abuse is worse than another? I mean, that's horrendous. Like, it's even horrendous to have this conversation, right? Like, it's hard, and it's just. Well, I think so. That's what makes our jobs hard.
That's where I struggled with it too, because I remember sitting in the partner's office on one particular case that I thought I was valuing much higher than he is, but he was like, but it was only 2 times. I was like, I think 2 times was enough. So that was where I struggled the most with it, though, because he would very easily just put things in little boxes, and it was like, well, that was just 2 times. I was like, yeah, but I mean, like, 1 time versus 2, that's a lot of mental damage that I think is happening. So, yes,
it's just not easy. It really isn't. But I mean, that's the tort system, right? I mean, it's putting a value on somebody who's injured. It doesn't matter what the injury is. Someone who's dying, someone who's lost a limb, someone, mental and emotional distress. So yeah, it's tough. And that's what I was trying to say is claims, to be successful in claims, it's not that easy. It really isn't.
Mm-hmm.
And Lizzie and I have handled a little bit of everything. I think I started the conversation. I said the company that we were both at is a legacy carrier. What that means is, we and that's where we are now too, is they either buy, or that's the easiest term for it, some kind of transfer of old claims, like old policies that other companies want off their books. So we handle a little of everything. Anything can come our way. But with those old policies, you can think of that's where some of these big mass torts happen, right? Whether it's asbestos, pollution, sex abuse, opioids. I mean, opioids is not as old, but still,
social media addiction.
That's going to be newer. So
I handled that though. It was on the legacy stuff.
Yeah, I know. It just, I mean, I guess when Facebook really, I don't even know, mid 2000s, something like that. So
yeah, I think it was like early 2004.
I don't remember. The MySpace. I don't know. I don't remember.
I think truly those complaints are the worst that I've ever read personally. Like those addiction complaints is what my previous carrier. You guys all saw like Mark Zuckerberg testified yesterday or maybe Wednesday in those big cases. And they were just, I mean, if you ever want to just have a horrible day, pull one complaint. I mean, they're the most horrible things I've ever read. Like these parents were doing, locking up phones, locking up computers. They'd let their friend, let their kids see a friend, and then they'd get on their phone. It was like, in the YouTube challenges that were like Russian roulette. I mean, they were just gut wrenching and horrible.
And I don't think there's enough parental controls. I mean, I could definitely be better. I can say that. Neither of my kids have phones yet, but they're 10 and 11. So the 11-year-old's in 6th grade. So I'm getting, she wants it. She doesn't have it yet. She maturity wise, I'm not saying no 11-year-old should, but mine not. But even just the iPads, because again, we're working parents. They're going to get on their iPads or whatever while we're working. They just are. Sorry, at least mine are, or on computers, whatever it is. It's just part of life.
This is something that I'm really struggling with right now. I actually wrote a LinkedIn post on it after I was watching some of Mark Zuckerberg's testimony, because my kids are 9, 11, and 13. And we just let the 13-year-old have Instagram. She's been bugging us. And it's like still no Snapchat, TikTok, any of that other stuff. Like we're I don't know, like it just makes me so, like I just get scared, but we did let her have Instagram. And it's, I try to monitor it, I try to limit it, but it's just like kind of like you're saying, Lizzie, like if I didn't let her have it at a certain point and didn't like teach her how to use it properly, she's going to go to her friend's house and use it, or going like you can't.
That's what they all do.
You just right, yeah. And like we block YouTube from the router at home because my 9-year-old watches the dumbest videos, and it's not that they're unsafe; they're just
some are so stupid. Yeah, some of them it's just like. Although I watch some stupid TV too, but yes,
I mean, let's be real, guys.
Yes,
yeah. I think like the Wait Till 8 campaign. Like I know that my kids' school got a little. I don't think that they've like officially endorsed it, but somebody came and spoke, whatever. But I think even that, I'm like, that still just feels like so young. But I know that like I had a Nokia brick phone in the 8th grade, like because I was out, I was doing things, I was playing Snake, whatever. Not that you couldn't do the same things that you can do now. So I do think that it's so different, but yeah.
In 8th grade, I got a second. I got a second line on our home phone. I mean, that's how much older I am than you.
Yeah, I also got a second line, but it's also because I had a computer and I would like clog the whole phone line if I didn't have my own line.
I remember
that phone number.
I remember my phone, and I had like one of those Swatch watch phones, like it was like see through, like
What? Like you see the insides? Yeah, the phone ever.
Yeah,
those were
Christmas. So cool.
Yeah.
I think you're right though, Jen. Like there has to be maybe some, I don't know. I think like we are in a time of transition where I do think those companies will probably, I think that there's going to be some liability found. I think there is like a shift too in like parenting mindsets. We know so much more. And like at some point they're going to have to safely learn how to use it. I don't know what that looks like.
I mean, I don't disagree with you because like, look at everything that goes through it, like warning labels on everything because of tourists, like all that stuff. But going back to going to their friends' houses and using it, it's hard. The Wait Till 8. I love the concept of it. I don't want to tell anyone else what to do with their kids. But there's always going to be one person who breaks it, then like that, and the dominoes start falling, right? And so for me, it's almost a struggle. My daughter is not mature enough for a phone. For multiple reasons. And so she doesn't have one. Now she's othered for a different reason, right? She's the kid that doesn't have a phone.
Right.
And she's already, socially has some otherness that, that makes her feel not great. And so here's another one. And so like, that's another, and so I wouldn't,
sides,
right. So I don't fault someone for kind of caving, even if they wanted to wait till late because they don't want their kid to be othered, right? Like it's so hard right now to figure out what the right thing is.
See, like for mine, I have a 13, 11-year-old. Both of them have phones, but I struggle more with time constraints than content with them. My 11-year-old can lose her phone for weeks. Like she just doesn't care, but she would care because of everything for them has to be even. So her thing
Yes.
was like, she ended up getting, because her sister got it, and I just didn't have the energy to fight with her on it. But then
100%
she
get
got it, and it was just like, oh, I have it, and never freaking used it. Like she just, she like, I don't even have to tell her not to bring it to school because she just doesn't care.
Right.
She just wants to see that she has it. And she has pretty strict time constraints on it. My 13-year-old, I've loosened up her time constraints, and then recently had like a conversation with other parents, and we were all like, I think we need to clamp down on all their time because they're just on it more. But the problem is it's like they're talking on the phone, and like I like that. That's okay. Like I'm like,
that's huge. They talk.
I was like, this is good. Yeah. And like I always review what she watches, and she watches just like I'm like I'm like, none of it is alarming to me, but it's how she's curated her own feed. Like she likes music, so it's a lot of music. So I'm like, all right, you're like okay, but it's the time. It's really the time. It drives me nuts.
My kids are into that Roblox right now, and it's like, talk about a time suck. I mean,
also has its own problems too.
It does. It also has its own problems. I mean, I have the restrictions on there I can, but you know, it's hard because it's loosening them up for, you know, giving them some, you know, rope and like letting them be, but then how much is too much, and then all of a sudden, you know, it becomes a problem. It's I don't know. I don't know the answer. None of us do, but it's just tough.
No.
With my 11-year-old, especially with both of them, they know that like I can read their phones at any time. I can look and see what they're doing. And I find, particularly with the 5th grader, on her iPad, her friends are starting to curse a little bit. Like I think they're starting to like be like, I'm cool and I'm old. And I'm saying, and one of them was saying inappropriate things, and my daughter responded, "Will you please stop? My mother reads this."
I love that. That's amazing. That's amazing.
That's better than you coming in and being like, "Would you please stop? This is a house of
exactly.
My mother reads this."
I was dying though because I was like, "Well, good. Like, use me if you like. If it makes like if something makes you uncomfortable and you don't want to like be the one to." So just blame me. Be like, if my mom sees this, she's gonna be really mad, you know. So I just thought that was really cute.
That is cute.
That is cute.
Do you use like a Bark or one of those? Like, do you know? You know, I always see these ads. I don't know yet because we don't have the phone, right? So I'm trying to figure out what
I just go into that stuff every single night and every morning when after they go to school, and just like I have a little time and I catch up.
Yeah. You scroll.
Browsing.
I just catch up one time. But the thing is, my 11-year-old, there's nothing happening. Like, she doesn't she's in all these silly group chats that she doesn't participate in. And they send 4,000 messages about nonsense. And I ask her, I'm like, what's happening? She's like, I don't know. I just want to know if anything major happens and I'm going to know something major happens. But she doesn't ever participate. But some of these kids, I was like, well, so-and-so's a little, got a mouth on her. She's like rude. And she's like, yeah, I don't like her.
Good. Same. Good.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't know her. And I feel bad not liking an 11-year-old kid, but I don't. She seems like trouble.
Oh, I got plenty I don't like right now, you know, like, because it's for the same reasons. Scrolling through it, like,
oh. Well, ladies, we were just about out of time, and it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I feel like we probably could have an entire episode talking about social media constraints for children. Yes, maybe we should revisit it in a later episode. But before we close up, this is something I ask everyone on this podcast before we close: is if you could, knowing what you know now, if you can give advice to your younger self, what advice would you give?
Wow.
I think Kathleen should start. She lobbed the hard one to you.
I always lob it at Lizzie first. I think I going back, I'm going to think more about the law school me is I don't regret being a lawyer. But I think that some of the, you know, about a year into law school, I was like, I'm not sure if this is for me, but you're a year into paying for it. So you're like, it's that whole concept of do you finish it because you've already paid for it? And it's like, no, it's okay to have cut it off then. Again, I don't have a regret finishing it, but knowing that it could have been okay and having a different path, even a year in, that's okay. Because guess what? a third of your law school tuition is a lot better than the whole of it. And everything will work out. I still had college education, you still have a year under your belt, so you can use those. Because honestly, to get where I am right now, it's very helpful to be a lawyer, but I didn't have to be a lawyer. So you don't have to be a lawyer to do that. And so I think that's what I would have told myself.
I think that's good advice. And in life and anything.
Right, exactly. It's that whole concept of you don't want to do something like you don't want to go, let's just say, to Las Vegas or something, but you've already paid for the hotel. Yeah, but you can get your money back on not spending on dinners. You can still do that. Just the whole concept of, it's okay to, even if you feel like you can't back out, like you're not all sunk in. I think that's a hard concept for a lot of people. It still is for me too. It's like, oh, I already put on the deposit, but sometimes it's better to walk away from the deposit.
Yes.
That's smart.
How about you, Lizzie?
I think that I would probably remind myself to stay open and flexible, because while I have kind of moved and done these different things that I never thought I would be doing, I have not always done it graciously. And I've not always done it kind of seeing, Kathleen has been with me through a couple moves, and it's not always been pretty. And it's, but I think what I have learned from those moves, whether they're a physical move or a job move, kids, whatever, I've always come out on the other side with a lesson, or kind of as another form of myself. So I just think staying open and flexible, which I still really struggle with, but I try really hard. So, because I just think that, again, whether it's work related or life related, just to be willing to kind of take it as it comes is, I think, it just makes for a happier time. It's not all that serious.
Yeah, and I think I love that though too, how you can be reflective and be like, well, even though it was tough and I may have hurt or struggled at the moment, you still came out okay.
Yeah, my husband probably didn't come out okay. Thoman was he did not come out okay, but sorry.
Well, maybe with some casualties along the way.
He's a little wounded from probably my behavior along the way, but he's all right. I'll make up for it.
Well, I think that's great advice for anyone to hear. And I really appreciate you guys joining us today. And we can keep the option open if we want to come back and have a dig in, a social media dig in.
Yeah. We can talk all day.
I know. We might need to bring our kids on too.
Yeah. That's a whole nother level. I'm not sure about that one, but
Hannah would be thrilled. She asks
would.
me frequently, when is it my turn to be on television?
Right.
Listen, that's not.
Well,
I don't know how to do that. I'm not a manager. I can't get you on there. So
I think that is my next job is to be the momager. That's what I want to be. I just need to find a skill for my kids to be the momager. But I think Dominic, my son Dominic, might be headed that way. We'll see. He's really into hip hop and performing. So we'll see.
All right.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Start here he comes.
Yes, exactly.
Well, of course, for all our listeners out there, if you like what you listen to, please like and subscribe to Claims Never Sleep. You can find us on your favorite streaming platform as well as YouTube. And thanks for tuning in.
This is the Claims Never Sleep podcast, presented by Cruiser Mitchell, with your host, Meghan Henry.